WGGM. I have to go pick up a prescription. Now, yesterday, I accepted the challenge from a friend over at Diversity and Dragons about 5 reasons why you should play 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, or 5 things that I really like about 5th edition. Now, I'm going to list the 5 things that I absolutely hate about 5th edition, and the 5 reasons why I'd rather play any game other than 5th edition. And some of these are only personal to me, so take them what you will. Now, that said, if you're playing 5e now, and you're enjoying playing 5e now, and everybody you're playing with is enjoying playing 5e now, don't stop. Play it for as long as you can. Play it in any ways you can. I'm not telling you not to play 5e. Nobody told you not to play 5e. This was never about not playing 5e, or not buying 5e, or not running 5e. All right, so if you enjoy 5e, if 5e is D&D to you, great. Have a good time. I wholly endorse your enjoyment. Just, allow other people to enjoy other games, and maybe consider trying another game sometime, because I assure you, there are other games. And Gary Gygax wanted you to try other games. All right, so top 5 reasons, personally, why I don't like 5e, why I prefer to play anything other than 5e, issues I have with 5th edition. All right, now some of these are philosophical, some of these are personal, and some of these are rules. So let's start with number 1. The number 1 reason I do not like 5th edition is that it's far too clunky. For a game that's supposed to be simple and easy, the combat mechanics, the action economy is just far too clunky. And how is Wizards of the Coast going to fix this? By adding more things to the action economy. Action, bonus action, reaction, movement action, free action, what can I do on my action? Things like that. It bogs down. Initiative bogs down. Any sense you have of flow in a 5e game is instantly grinds to a halt once you enter in combat. And it only gets worse if the characters are getting higher level, when then they can have multiple things they can do on their action, reaction, bonus action, free action, movement action, half action. I've seen 8th level characters and 10th level characters and 13th level characters and it just bogs down. And if you're using D&D Beyond, or spells, it just bogs down even more. And if you don't know what your character can do and you have to look it up, it bogs it down even more. Combat should be quick, fast, deadly. Which moves on to reason number 2, why I do not like 5e, why I'd rather play anything other than 5e, and why I think you should try other games than 5e. There is no sense of dread. There is no sense of threat. There's no feeling in any 5e game I ever played where I thought my character would die and stay dead. I've never once had a character die in any 5e game except for the very first 5e game I played in. And that was just because we didn't understand the rules. It's impossible. There is no threat. And Wizards of the Coast has gone out of their way to alter things so it's even less threatening. Whatever threat was there is pretty much non-existent. Even a first level character is relatively assured that they can walk out into any adventure and be okay. And when we're talking about high levels, well, I can tell you from personal experience, I ran a scenario where 4, 5, 8th level characters, 9th level characters, 5e characters had to deal with the avatar of Jubilex. Now, you would think the avatar of the demon god of slime would be unbeatable and would be a TPK. Nope. They were able to beat him in 2 rounds because they had all the combat mechanics in their action, and the system is designed to keep them alive. First, you got short rest and long rest. Oh, I jump into a volcano, I swim around, I get out, I eat a sandwich and take a nap, I'm fine. I broke my bones falling down these stairs, take a nap, I'm fine. short rest to long rest. Everybody has the ability to heal. It's not just limited to clerics now. Every class can do everything. Fighters can heal, clerics can fight, wizards can, everybody has the ability to heal themselves and heal something else. Plus, you add to that the death saving throws. I've got to fail 3 of these, and then maybe I die. And even if I am dead, there are so many ways to bring me back from the dead, and it doesn't cost an arm and a leg like it used to. The temple's practically just handing out reincarnates for free. And that's assuming nobody in the party has the ability to stabilize my wounds. Nobody in the party has breath of life or any of the other abilities to spare the dying or anything else. So even if I fail all 3, there are still multiple safety features built in so I do not stay dead. And if, God forbid, for some reason I stay dead, it's not that bad, because we don't want people to feel bad about being dead, and we don't want people to feel like they can't do anything in D&D. We don't want people to feel like they've lost their agency. So bringing you back from the dead is easy as pie. So no sense of threat, no consequences for your actions. Number 3, the levels are completely unbalanced. The power creep in 5e is ridiculous. First level character is a superhero. A 3rd level character is a superhero. A 5th level character is practically a freaking god. And if you make it to 10th, there's nothing that you can't win. The power levels are ridiculous. Infinite 0 level spells, abilities that literally alter the effect of the outcome of the game, plus the DM having this sort of Damocles over their head telling them player agency, don't make the players feel like they can't win. So that's number 3. The threat level is just non-existent. Number 4 reasons why you should not play D&D, why I would rather play D&D. It's linear, it's boring, but most importantly, this is actually the main reason. The Critical Role. Critical Role is probably the 4th reason that I don't like 5e. I don't think you should play 5e. I think you should play other things. I think Critical Role is both the best thing to happen to the hobby and the worst thing to happen to the hobby. And the politics of 5e has made 5e just icky, and combined to that with Critical Role and everything Wizards of the Coast has done to 5e since the game. They started out great. The first 2 years was great, and I assure you, D&D Next, the playtest, was so much better than 5e. And you guys, had you seen it, you'd be like, I want to play this. It was so much easier, it was so much better. It felt like coming home after 4. But then 5e came out and we're like, yeah, okay. And for the first 2 years, it was like, oh, Wizards of the Coast isn't doing anything. They're playing their cards very close. But then Critical Role started, and the social justice started, and the problematic started. And basically, Wizards of the Coast ruined 5e. Critical Role ruined 5e. The enforced politics about 5e, the lack of a threat level in 5e, the fact that the evil doesn't exist anymore. You can have good demons. They've chewed it up and spit out this gray blob where anybody can be anything, and the whole world is built about them, and now every character has a 30-page backstory, and everybody has to be a master thespian, and the final product, as we look at it today, that's not D&D 5th edition. Now moving on to the 5th reason is it never had a chance, and this is sort of a continuation of the 4th. It never got to be D&D. From out of the gate, it never got a chance to be its own thing. First, it had the legacy of 4E hanging over it. Second, it was competing with a whole bunch of other games that had already been out thanks to the OGL and Pathfinder. There were a lot of the same. It had all these expectations on it. The old players like me wanted something that reflected the way we played before 4th edition. We wanted that feeling of 3rd edition and Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. We wanted the feeling of the early years of Pathfinder before Paizo ruined it. We wanted to play D&D, and the new players coming in wanted to play a video game. Nobody knew what 5e was, and 5e never got a chance to be 5e. Plus, it had just this entire legacy hanging over it. And much like with 4th edition, Wizards of the Coast made the same mistake of trying to make everybody happy, of trying to tick every box, of trying to both acknowledge that there's a 40-year history as well as make something new, and it didn't work. And every game, and I have been playing 5th edition since it came out, plus play testing it. I've been in over 20 probably 5e games, and I've run at least 10. I can say without a shadow of a doubt, with one exception, I never played 5th edition. 5th edition never got a chance to just be 5th edition. Everybody was always trying to make it something else. Before Critical Role became public knowledge, everybody was trying to make 5e 3e. Or everybody was trying to make it old-fashioned D&D. Everybody was trying to make it classic D&D. I've told you the story a dozen times about the Pendragon game. And the guy wanted to run Pendragon using 5e. And he wanted a low magic, human only 5e game, but he told everybody he was running 5e. So players showed up with 5e characters. And he's like, no, this. And they're like, yeah, whether either they just didn't get what he was trying to say, or he didn't make it clear enough, or they were just like, look, you said 5e, I made a 5e character. I'm running a tiefling, I'm running this, I'm running that. I'm running a human monk. So he tried to make it something it wasn't. In every game, he kept trying to make it something 5e wasn't. He kept trying to make 5e something else. Every 5e game I played in before Critical Role was trying to make it something other than 5e. And every 5e game I played in after Critical Role was trying to make it Critical Role. And that's sort of the whole just expectation. And there's just no way 5e could ever live up to the expectation. And then you had just the politics coming in and the constant levels of attacks and problematic and this thing and that thing. And they had to constantly put out these splat books to try and fix the non-existent damage and fix the non-existent problematic history. So again, 5e never got a chance to be its own thing. 5e was mired from day one in nostalgia, in trying to do too much, in trying to be a fantasy role-playing game, and trying to be a video game, and trying to make everybody happy, and trying to live up to the expectations that it couldn't live up. 5e was mired from day one with the nostalgia players wanting it to be anything but 5e, and with the new players coming in for the first time wanting it to be something else than 5e. And that just grew and changed. It leads us to today. It leads us to my most recent attempt to run 5e. And I pretty much ran it as written. But even then, even if I was just like, yeah, sure, it's in the rules, you can do it. Still, the expectation, the Critical Role expectation, the video game expectation, the I saw it on YouTube expectation, there's no way 5e can live up to it. 5e isn't D&D because it can't be D&D. It's something else. And it only works if everybody at the table agrees it's not D&D. It's something else. It's something new. It's something different. It needed a chance to be its own thing, and it never got it. And now that has influenced the entire industry. Everybody else is trying to be 5e. And the games that are not trying to be 5e, they're stuck with the nostalgia of trying to be like AD&D, or trying to be like the way it was, which of course is also impossible. You can't make a game that is the way it was, because the way it was then. This is now. Just so, yeah, that's that's my reason for why I don't want to play 5e. I don't really want to run 5e. I would kill to find people who want to play any game other than 5e, even if it's just a different fantasy game. Yes, it's D&D in name because Hasbro owns the name. They can call whatever they want D&D. but it's not D&D, and it never got a chance to be D&D, and it never got a chance to be its own thing. Much like with 4th edition being the Eberron role-playing game, what they should have done is just released it as Planescape. Is that Seth? Or Spelljammer, or whatever, you know. Here's the new rule set, here's the campaign world, here's why the new rule set works so well with this campaign world. Go! I mean, look at the StarQuest, or whatever it's called. Starfinder. Starfinder is a completely different beast that uses the same rules. But they didn't try and make it a new thing. They said, here's a completely new beast. Just happens to use the exact same rules you're familiar with. Let us know what you think about these rules. And a year from now, if you like them, we're going to use Pathfinder 2nd edition, and it's going to be based upon Starfinder. That's what Paizo did, and it fucking worked. For the most part. So top 5 reasons. 3 reasons is there's no threat, there's no reason to level, it's just not fair, the mechanics don't make sense, it's too clunky, the math is surprisingly harder than it should be. Wizards of the Coast makes it harder by not adding more options. Higher level characters are just pointless. There's no reason to play past 10th level in 5e. There's no threat. There's no, consequences. Nothing the players do will ever have any lasting effect, because nothing that the players do will ever be dangerous. And if there's no danger, if there's no threat, then there's no memories, you know? If there's no evil, then what's more reason to be good? And the second, my last 2 are just basically, philosophy, just the 5e expectation. Just that 5e never got a chance to be 5e. 5e never got a chance to be D&D. 5e isn't D&D. People trying to make something it wasn't. And now as we reach the end of 5e's lifespan and 6e coming around the corner, we're just like, it's just going to be more of the same. Whatever you make 6e is, it's not going to be D&D. It's going to be 6e, and it's going to have to live with all the same problems that 5e had. Hate it while you want. 4e was different enough that you could go, this has mechanics I'm familiar with, but it's a different enough game that it stands on its own. So yeah, that's the reasons I hate 5e. Why won't I play 5e anymore? I'm sure I'll play it. If, everybody at the table wants to play 5e, I'll play it. I doubt I'll ever run it. I tried, and it just doesn't work for me. Even if I run exactly what they say they want to play, they find fault in it. And that's just like too much work for me, Somebody else wants to do it, fine. Somebody else can deal with the negativity. I'd rather run other games. But sure, yeah, if the Adventurers League opens here and it's close to my house and people are like, Mike, OGGM, come play 5e, sure. So there you go. I met your challenge and mastered it. That's the 5 reasons why I won't run, why I think you should, play other games. But really, if you're playing 5e and you're enjoying 5e, keep playing 5e. And if you're looking at other games, look at other games. Challenge yourself. And don't let anybody make you feel bad. That's it. I gotta go. Talk to you later.